Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Landon Swan. He's a co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thanks. Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
All right. So Spotify, one of the streaming services that I will not give up, and I think maybe that's the consensus. You know, their growth rate's still pretty strong, but 80% gains so far this year. Do you guys have the data to back that up?
Yeah, we do. I mean, and if you can go out past, you say 80% gains this year, go back to like October of 22. 2 years ago, basically, this was a $70 stock, and now we're at, what, $340, something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an incredible move over the last 2 years, and they're doing it with a quality product. That's what they're able to how they're able to achieve this. And, if you look at, for example, the amount of people using the app or how much the app is being used, that is up 12% on a year-over-year basis, so it's continuing to grow. Last quarter, they reported that not only was ad revenue up 12%, but premium revenue was up 22%. So not only it's people liking what they're hearing and they're willing to listen through ads, but they're also willing to pay more. So that's really good. The only kind of caveat that we've got here is the visits are down a little bit on the website, slightly, 7% on a year-over-year basis. Looking at the overall data, I'd consider this more of a fluctuation than anything really too concerning. It looks like it's more short term, but I will say that Apple is slightly gaining. Now, you got to keep in mind what the starting point is or what the current state is right now. If you look at the total, consumer mind share of all of streaming music, Spotify's about 68% of that pie, so 2/3 we'll call it, and Apple's 9%. So they're very, very far away. They're way back in the rearview mirror. They're slightly catching up according to this statistic, but overall, I think they've got a long way to go. Now, I will say that Apple's kind of fighting back, if you will. Some would even say playing dirty, where they've changed the ability where if you're playing Spotify on a connected device, a Bluetooth speaker, you can no longer use the volume controls on your iPhone to control that Bluetooth speaker. So, that, and people are also, there's some theories that Spotify is draining the battery on iPhones faster than it would on something like an Android. So, and I don't think that, Apple is necessarily above those kind of things. We've seen some stuff in the past. So, they're going to fight back in the ways they can, but they really need to do it on quality, because that's why Spotify is winning. People, their sessions are up to 24 minutes per day per user. They've got a 70% happiness rating. People talk about how great the UI is, how good the song recommendations are. I mean, just overall, Spotify is winning because they put out a very high quality product. And of course, that's why their stock is 5x'd in the last 2 years. Now, it is kind of bumping up against near all-time highs here. I think the highest closing price it's had is maybe 346 or something. The highest price overall is maybe 360. So it's right up there, right? We ran up to that ceiling, and we're kind of going sideways now. And I think investors want to know what's next. And I think a lot of it has to do with not only continuing to wow customers and keep people coming back, becoming a very sticky product, as you alluded to, but also getting the costs down while maintaining that very high revenue. 2 years ago, they were losing about $1 a share per quarter. Now they're making like $1.50 a share per quarter. So they're doing something right. They're cutting costs. They're using AI to cut costs, trim those expenses, while holding and growing revenue. That's every investor's dream, is revenue goes up and expenses go down. So I think that's, that is what is making this company so successful. We've got the caveats of, the web visits are down. The monthly active users didn't hit, the goals that they wanted to last quarter. But overall, everything is in a long-term trajectory going absolutely the right way with Spotify.
The master's thesis part of this story, Landon, is that this company started in 2006, launched in 2008 when iTunes was a behemoth, and they crushed them. Now, Apple's changing their models and trying to compete, but they're way behind now. The inspirational part of this is that you can take on the big guys if your mousetrap is better, and they built a better mousetrap. It's the simple truth about what Spotify does. Their monthly average users, I have them up 14%, 626 million. That's still solid. But what you can do with this platform, I mean, in terms of playing music in your home, yesterday, I took a playlist and shared it across the country. Think about that, how easy that is to send music back and forth. Tom, it's the opposite of Uber, right? They could raise prices and pay the artist less, and neither would complain, Landon.
Right. I mean, yeah, absolutely. They have built the better mousetrap. I can remember Apple Music days. I mean, you'd find a song that you like. I think you paid maybe $1.99.
Yeah.
I can't remember, to download it, right? And now you own that song. And Spotify is just like, you know what? How about you can play anything you want anytime, and it's a subscription per month. And that's how they started. And of course, it wowed everyone. Then they got into the podcast revolution, and they signed some giant names, and they were the leaders in podcasting when everyone else is just thinking it's a fad, but it's here to stay. And now, they've got AI DJs that are recommending songs to you. You can create and share, collaborate on playlists like you talked about. It's just a better technology, and it's something that's becoming part of what people use every day. Tom, like you talked about, that's a very tough cancel, right? That's going to be up there with like a Netflix where, I use this all the time. Do I really want to save whatever it is, 15 or 20 bucks a month? The answer is going to be no. You're going to cut something else. So Spotify has it nailed. I do worry long term about Apple because they own the ecosystem, right? And
Sure.
they have the ability to turn some levers and do things that make Spotify not as appealing to basically, green bubble. What green bubble is to Android, they can do that to Spotify. We'll see. I'm sure all that's going to eventually play out in courts, but Apple can fight that way. But in the end, it's going to be quality. That's where users are going to flock to. Even if you kind of twist the knife and make Spotify less appealing on the iOS platform, Apple, if they're going to compete, they really need to do it on quality. And Spotify has such a big lead. And I do love the story, Kevin. I mean, this has got to be, people, giving dissertations and theses on this in the future of how, you can be a really small company, especially in tech. And if it's built better and can scale, you can take on the biggest companies in the world and succeed. So I love the story of Spotify, but overall as an investor, yes, I like it here. I'm buying on dips, buying at the all-time high. I'm a proponent of buy high, sell higher, and this one is going to go there, I think, long term. I think we're going to break through 360 and go on up into the fours, but I think buying on dips right now while it's kind of consolidating is the play. But, yeah, absolutely bullish on this one long term just because of how well they've executed not only in the past, but they continue to iterate and improve that mousetrap and continue to make it better.
LikeFolio with the buying on dips, maybe selling cash secured puts, maybe waiting for pullbacks. I like it, Landon. And you mentioned, their expenses are down. Gross margins improved to 29.2%, all-time highs. And they said that premium average revenue per user grew 8%. So things are going the right way. And thanks for the data and the analysis here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking down